Welcome back to STEMLens. In this video we shall be talking about the new system of classification. In the last videos we've talked about the old system of classification, and this now is the new modern system of classification, and I'm so glad to announce to you that this is going to be the last subtopic we shall be treating under the concept of living things. Now, the modern system classification based on physiology, biochemistry and embryology have revealed distinct similarities between living organisms, which external appearances of organisms will not show or discover or tell us. Not all biologists have agreed on this new classification of 5 kingdoms instead of 2 kingdoms of Plantae and Animalia of Linnaeus. Now, this new system of classification actually goes deeper, not just the external appearances. It goes deeper to group them based on their physiological, biochemical and embryonic similarities. Alright, so now let us look at it. It says the new system of classification was introduced by Magalhaes and Schwartz in 1982. Take note, Magalhaes and Schwartz in 1982. All cellular organisms fall into groups, namely prokaryote and eukaryote. That's prokaryota and eukaryota. These two groups have their DNA located in different areas of their cells. The DNA of prokaryotes, pro meaning before and karyon meaning nucleus, is not enclosed by nuclear membranes and floats freely in the cytoplasm. Thus, it is localized in the cytoplasm. The cells of prokaryotes have no true nuclei. The DNA of eukaryotes, eu meaning true, are enclosed with nuclear membranes and located in nucleus. Based on the cellular organization and structural similarities, Schwartz recognized 5 kingdoms, namely prokaryota, that's kingdom Monera. Alright, don't mind, this is still like trying to be old. Now it's being called kingdom Monera. Alright, kingdom Monera, we have kingdom Protoctista. This is also known as kingdom Protista, Protista, Protista. Alright, we have fungi, we have Plantae and Animalia. Of the 5 kingdoms, 4 kingdoms are classified as Protoctista, fungi, Plantae, Animalia, and placed under eukaryota because their DNA is located in nucleus and enclosed with nuclear membrane. This classification places prokaryota as a kingdom, having no regard to the fact that all living things fall into 2 distinct groups, namely prokaryota and eukaryota. But as I said, it is now kingdom Monera, not prokaryota. Alright. So for the purpose of easy understanding of the modern classification, the characteristic features earlier stated are being repeated. Actually, in the old system of classification, we've talked about all this. We talked about their characteristics, the characteristic features of all this listed above. We talked about for Protista, we talked about for Monera, we talked about fungi, Plantae, Animalia, but for the sake of this video and for those just joining us today, we'll be going through them. We may actually skip some, and I'll be dropping the link to the old system classification. I'll be dropping the link in the description. So what you can do is you can go back to watch on those that we will skip. Alright, so kingdom 1, that's kingdom Monera, prokaryota. We have the lack organized DNA, that is, the DNA is scattered in the cytoplasm and not in the nucleus. Right, so as said earlier, they lack nuclear membrane. Right, so it is being localized. DNA is being localized in the cytoplasm. They have no mitochondria in their cytoplasm. Actually, not just the nucleus is affected. They lack membrane-bound organelles in general. Alright, so they lack mitochondria, right, in their cytoplasm. The cell wall lack cellulose. The cell walls are made of protein and fatty materials. For example, take bacteria to be an example. The cell wall of bacteria is made up of peptidoglycan, protein and fatty materials. They lack cellulose. They are microscopic single-celled organisms. For example, bacteria. They are motile or non-motile organisms. They feed autotrophically or heterotrophically. They reproduce only asexually. That could be by binary fission or thereabout. Examples are bacteria and photosynthetic blue-green bacterium Anabena, formerly known as blue-green algae. Alright, so that's that about kingdom Monera. Kingdom Monera, it is the only prokaryotic kingdom. Alright, that's just for you to know. The remaining 4 are what? Eukaryotic kingdoms. Alright, so we have kingdom Protoctista. This is also known as kingdom Protista. In some textbooks you may see kingdom protista. Don't be confused, they are the same thing, right? So these ones, they have well organized DNA in the nucleus. Don't forget I said the rest are what eukaryotic, so their DNA is what well organized. Their nucleus have a membrane, right, that is surrounding it, right? The nucleus is bounded by nuclear membrane, and hence they are called eukaryotic what organisms. They are single-celled organisms, that's they are unicellular. Unicellular, we have multicellular. Alright, so these are mainly unicellular organisms. They are motile and non-motiles. Examples include protozoans, for example, amoeba, Euglena, Chlamydomonas, Spirogyra, Plasmodium, Chlorella, and other examples. Those are for protista. Now we have kingdom fungi. Now kingdom fungi, don't forget, in the old system of classification, kingdom fungi was classified under plants, right? But it has been looked upon, it possesses distinct features of both plants and animals, so it is not fair giving it to the plantain kingdom. So it was given its own kingdom, and now the characteristic features being that it lacks chlorophyll, right? So the nutrition is therefore heterotrophic. Food is digested outside the body, and digested soluble food is absorbed into the body by diffusion. They are simple multicellular organisms. Their body are not differentiated into root, stem, and leaves, right? They are mostly non-metals composed of thread-like multinucleate hyphae, collectively known as mycelium. Reproduction is by means of spores, specific mechanism and all that. Carbohydrates are stored as glycogen and not starch. That was even one of the major, feature that separated them from plants. Plants actually store carbohydrates, excess carbohydrates as starch. Animals store as glycogen, but now fungi, they store as glycogen instead of starch, right? So the cell wall is also made of chitin and not cellulose. That's another distinguishing feature that distinguish them from plants. Alright, so examples include mucorrhizopods, mushroom, and slime moths. Now onto kingdom plantae. I hope you are following. If you are not following, please drop a comment where you missed me. Alright, they are multicellular and non-motile organisms. They can actually move their body, but they cannot move. They can move parts of their body, but they cannot move their body. Alright, they can only move parts of their body. That's what they mean by non-motile there. Alright, so don't say they don't move. Alright, their cells are bounded by rigid cellulose cell walls external to the cell membrane. That's for real. Like their cells are bounded by cell. That's what gives them the rigidity, the structure they have. Alright, they contain chlorophyll that enable them to manufacture their own food by photosynthesis. You know that they are the producers of the ecosystem and all that, right? So they are the ones who produce food by photosynthesis, utilizing the sun energy, right, and all that. Most of the plants store carbohydrates as starch or sucrose, and the kingdom plantae is divided into 4 phyla, namely, right, it's not actually 4, it's actually 3. Alright, some are subphylums, but they just decided to go plain here. Right, we actually do have bryophyta, pteridophyta, and spermatophyta. Right, but here in this case, now what they did is that they still gave the subphylums as a phylum. For example, we have bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnospermatophyta, and angiospermatophyta. Alright, so normally we should have angiospermatophyta, then have gymnosperms and angiosperms under the phyla spermatophyta, under the phylum spermatophyta. But in this textbook they decided to just go plain. Alright, so for the bryophyta, is in the last video we talked about the old system of classification. Let's move down to the gymnospermatophyta and angiospermatophyta. Alright, so their characteristic feature, okay, the phylum gymnospermatophyta, also called coniferophyta, because conifer is the most common example. Alright, so they are large plants with well-developed vascular bundles with true roots, stem, and leaf. The leaves are green in color, small, scaly, and needle-like. They have cones where naked seeds are formed because there is no ovary. I explained better in the old system of classification video. The link is in the description. They are terrestrial in habitat. Examples include whistling pine and cycas. Coniferous also is an example. Conifers, I mean. We also have the angiospermatophyta, where we have the monocots and dicots. Right, so just for a recap, the angiospermatophyta possess true flowers for sexual reproduction. Well-developed true roots, stem, and leaves are present. Well-developed vascular bundles are present. Seeds and fruits are produced after fertilization. Now, if you would remember, I laid emphasis on the fact that gymnospermatophyta, they don't have ovaries, so fruits are not being formed. The seeds are naked, alright. But in angiospermatophyta, fruits are formed because the ovaries are present, alright, after fertilization. Now they are terrestrial but few are aquatic, alright. Now moving straight to the class monocots and dicots, monocotyledon and dicotyledon. Now let us look at the characteristic feature and try to compare them. Now for the monocots, their leaves have parallel veins, their flowers are generally inconspicuous, the embryo has one cotyledon, one seed leaf, the roots are mainly fibrous, pith is absent, size of cortex is narrow, cambium is absent, vascular bundles scattered all over the ground tissue. Examples include maize, palm tree, grasses. Alright. For the dicots, the leaves have net-like veins. Alright, so let's start contrasting and comparing them. Unlike the monocots have what? Parallel venation. But dicots now, they have net-like. That's what I said in the last video. Network venation. Alright. Their flowers are generally conspicuous, attractive, and all that. Alright. Can be easily seen. Embryo has two cotyledons, unlike monocots which have one cotyledon or one seed leaf. The roots are fibrous in monocots, most monocots, but in dicots the roots could be of different. We'll talk about the different types of root later on. I will look at the different types of root that dicots could come in. Alright, so the size of cortex is narrow, the size of cortex is wide. Vascular bundles arranged in a ring of cambium. Cambium is actually absent in monocots. Cambium is necessary for secondary thickening. Alright, so that is possessed by dicots only. Pith is present, but meanwhile, pith is absent in monocots. So examples include mango, orange, iroko, and trees. Alright, so lastly, kingdom Animalia. Characteristic feature: all are multicellular organisms. Alright, DNA, they are eukaryotic, so DNA is located in nucleus, enclosed with nuclear membranes. Their cells have no cell walls. Alright, they have cell membranes, just cell membranes. Alright, all possess nervous systems except the sponges. All possess true tissues except sponges. Feeding is heterotrophic. Now the kingdom Animalia is divided into two divisions, namely the non-vertebrates and the vertebrates. Chordates. The non-vertebrates are animals without backbones. The vertebrates are animals with backbones. Examples include Coelenterata, Platyhelminths, Nematoda, Annelida, Echinodermata, Arthropoda, and Mollusca. We've talked about all this in the old system of classification. So please, I will drop the link. You go there, you watch it. Alright, let's move to the ending. Alright, so in the end now we have, for the concept of living things, we have a table, right, showcasing the current 5 kingdom classification of living organisms discovered by Margulis and Schwartz in 1982, whereby we have living organisms divided into prokaryotes and eukaryotes. And for the eukaryotes, we have the kingdom Protista or Protoctista, the kingdom Fungi, the kingdom Plantae, the kingdom Animalia. Meanwhile, for the prokaryotes, is also known as the what? Kingdom Monera. Now you can see some dotted line and then see something there. Virus is non-cellular. Now virus is considered to be the midway or the midline between living and non-living things, because viruses are crystallized when not in a living medium, right? But when in a living medium, they can reproduce because virus is actually just a DNA strand enclosed in a protein coat. Alright, so when they are in living mediums, they reproduce very fast. They reproduce. But when taken out of living medium, they become crystallized. Alright, so that's all about concept of living things. We have some questions here. In the next video, we shall discuss these questions extensively. We shall dive deeper, and that's would be the end of this topic and this chapter. Thank you so much for joining today's video. See you next time.